Welcome back to the Survival Gardener Minute. I am David the Good, and today I've got a question from Josh Centers, who is in Tennessee, and he asks about a quarter acre that he's just had tilled up by his neighbor. He wants to plant corn, squash, beans, and he asks if it would make more sense to plant the corn in Three Sisters mounds or to just go ahead and row crop them. And also, incidentally, Josh writes for USA Today, and he wrote up a very nice article mentioning grow or die, and I'll post a link to that article below this video. So thank you for that, Josh. So to answer your question, I have grown corn both in Three Sisters mounds and in row gardening. And I have to say the yields are better in row gardening. Now, there are cool things about doing the Three Sisters method, but it's a little more tricky to get your timing right on your beans and to get the timing right on your squash and not to have one crop overwhelm the others. For example, the first time I tried Three Sisters gardening, I planted the corn in the hills, and then I planted the beans a little while after, and then the beans did not grow very well because the seed wasn't that hot. And so when I went to go replant them quickly to get them to catch up, they were already too overshaded by the corn. They didn't grow very well. I got almost no beans. And the pumpkins did fine. They covered the ground in between, but they did fight with the corn a little bit. So I think it's a great method, but I think it's something that is going to take a little bit of a learning curve. My recommendation is to go ahead and put up some decent trellises and grow pole beans and then grow corn in another part of it. And if you have a nice chunky area you can devote to pumpkins, devote it over in one corner. Plant your corn a little closer together because unlike the Native Americans, we have irrigation now. So you can probably get away with 18-inch spacing between corn, 24-inch if you don't want to have to water so much. That's in between rows, with them 6 to 12 inches apart in the rows. If you've got grain corn varieties, I would go for the wider 12-inch spacing so they can have maximum production on them. So what I would say though is with that aside, I love the idea of intercropping. I think there's some benefits to it, and I would set aside just a little piece of it and do a small section where maybe you can run a couple of squash vines and a few hills and a bit of corn, and then you get the very best education possible, which is seeing how it works in your own yard. Don't dedicate the entire space to a method that you're experimenting with. Just go ahead with, row gardening or whatever that we know is going to give you a certain yield, and the timing is very simple and easy. But go ahead and put in some of those mounds and give them a try to the side. That's the best teacher. But I would not roll the dice right now and just try a method that you haven't tried before. I would just go with something that pretty much every gardener would know how to do around your area. So thanks for watching. Thanks again for the mention in the article. Much appreciated. And I will catch you guys next time. Be sure to leave your questions for me, and I'll answer them in upcoming episodes as I pick out interesting questions. Catch me on the web at thesurvivalgardener.com, and like and subscribe and all that stuff, because I'm doing these all through the apocalypse. Until next time, may your thumbs always be green.